Key point 1. Fix the problem before it appears. Personal improvement is challenging, yet incredibly satisfying. However, nothing causes more confusion than not knowing where to start. As with everything in this world, self-improvement begins in our heads. Today, we're diving into the world of upstream thinking, the power to reshape how we approach big and small problems. How often do we ask ourselves, what can I do to prevent an issue from arising in the first place? That is upstream thinking, being more proactive than simply reactive. Now we know what you might be thinking. It sounds great in theory, but life is life. That's where the 3 barriers to upstream thinking come into play: problem blindness, a lack of ownership, and tunneling. These forces often cloud our vision and prevent us from seeing the bigger picture. We'll reveal these barriers and learn how to overcome them in this summary. The key to solving problems lies not in their symptoms, but in their origins. On top of that, we'll learn to draw a roadmap to our goals while practicing upstream thinking. You'll be surprised how many occupations and fields thrive on upstreaming. By the end of this summary, you'll feel like you discovered the secret everyone's been hiding. But we won't leave you there. Instead, we'll equip you with knowledge to tackle unexpected problems without becoming overwhelmed. Tell us you want to become a magical problem solver, and we'll take you to the Hogwarts of management. Prepare your magic wand and get ready to cast spells. Key point 2. Wake the frog before it boils. We often find ourselves caught up in surface symptoms whenever we try to fix a serious problem. It's like endlessly mopping water from a leaky pipe without fixing its source. But there's a smarter way to deal with problems: going upstream. Consider healthcare. Instead of treating illnesses as they arise, doctors and researchers focus on preventing them altogether. Think about regular exercise, a balanced diet, and vaccinations. Or take environmental conservation, for instance. Rather than merely cleaning up polluted rivers, we can go upstream and target the industries and practices that lead to pollution in the first place. These are all proactive approaches that aim to maintain well-being by addressing the root causes of diseases. Indecision can hurt us more than one necessary effort. And let's not forget the workplace. Going upstream here involves focusing on workplace culture rather than dealing with the consequences of a toxic environment. Promoting open communication, respectful behavior, and a healthy work-life balance can create a more positive work atmosphere from its very foundations. But there's a hurdle we must overcome, which is problem blindness. This cognitive bias often blinds us to the issues right before our noses. How often do we ignore problems in our relationships until they become crises? Problem blindness also haunts businesses, where inefficiencies and customer complaints get dismissed until they spiral out of control. Ignoring a minor discomfort today will turn it into a giant sore tomorrow. The boiling frog analogy captures this perfectly. Just as a frog won't jump out of gradually heating water, we can become accustomed to worsening situations without taking action. To defeat problem blindness, we need mindfulness and awareness. Pay attention to the subtle signs, seek feedback, and regularly assess your situation. In relationships, foster open communication and address issues early. In organizations, consider creating mechanisms for reporting problems without fear of reprisal. In the end, problem blindness reminds us to stay vigilant and proactive. By acknowledging problems early on and taking steps to address them, we can prevent them from becoming insurmountable challenges down the road. So let's go upstream, tackle root causes, and open our eyes to a world of proactive problem solving. We handle one problem after another, but we never get around to fixing the systems that cause the problems. Dan Heath. Key point 3. Put your money where your mouth is. Remember group projects at school. One thing goes wrong, and the kids start pointing fingers at each other, blaming anyone but themselves. It's so silly then, but not so funny when we grow up. After all, it's a classic case of lacking ownership. All too often, we disengage from problems or responsibilities. getting stuck in inaction, and unaccountability. In your personal life, a lack of ownership might appear as shifting blame instead of admitting your mistakes, which becomes a roadblock to resolving conflicts and building healthy relationships. Focus on solutions, not on finding fault. But it's not just a personal issue. Poor responsibility creeps into the workplace too. The not my problem attitude sabotages productivity and innovation. As a result, a couple of workers can undermine the whole work process. The solution is quite apparent: encouraging open communication and personal responsibility. But is it enough? No CEO or manager can suggest personal responsibility effectively if the person refuses to act on it. The problem must be personal. This situation is where problem-solving skills come into the picture. We can slowly teach ourselves to tackle issues head-on after facing the negative outcomes of our irresponsibility. It's a simple, hot don't touch link between our brain and the external world. However, the human brain isn't as shrewd as we want it to be sometimes. It's like being so focused on chopping vegetables for a stew that you don't notice your pot is about to boil over. Or imagine planning a big party and getting so obsessed with choosing the perfect playlist that you forget to send out the invitations. That's tunneling, being so caught up in a detail that you miss the broader objective. Tunneling manifests itself differently. In finances, meticulously tracking daily expenses but neglecting your long-term financial planning. In love, everyday fights conceal your relationship's overall health and happiness. Taking a step back to assess the big picture is crucial. So, how do you break free from tunnel vision? Learn to balance between short-term focus and long-term perspective. Stepping back to assess your goals and priorities can help you avoid getting lost in the tunnel of immediate tasks. Practicing mindfulness and staying open to opportunities and challenges is crucial in any aspect of life. Key point 4. Make your own Marvel team. Personal responsibility is all great, but you can't be in all places at once, just like a DJ can't rock every party in town on the same night. Sometimes being responsible is assembling a power team to tackle the hurdle together. In the workplace, crafting a high-performing team is akin to assembling a puzzle. It involves identifying individuals whose strengths complement each other, like pairing a creative thinker with an execution master. This synergy leads to innovation and successful projects. Provide clear, concise instructions when delegating. The power of building a supportive network extends to personal relationships as well. Surrounding yourself with friends who share your values and aspirations can provide invaluable support and guidance on your life's journey. But uniting the right people isn't as simple as picking names from a hat. It's about setting clear goals and communicating your vision effectively. When everyone understands the mission and their role in it, collaboration becomes more efficient and purpose-driven. Furthermore, actively seeking diverse perspectives and skill sets can be a game changer. After all, diversity often leads to more creative problem-solving. Finally, open communication, constructive feedback, mutual respect, and trust create a sense of belonging, motivating individuals to bring their best to the table. Now, let's switch gears to another critical topic: systemic change. Imagine a polluted river as a metaphor for a system needing transformation. Cleaning the riverbanks and purifying downstream water isn't enough. Real change requires identifying and mitigating the pollution's source upstream. For example, in education, systemic change means tackling issues like educational inequality, lack of resources, and rigid curricula. In the workplace, systemic change involves challenging biases, discrimination, and unequal opportunities. To drive systemic change, engaging with stakeholders is crucial. Collaborate with like-minded individuals, organizations, and policymakers to effect meaningful change. Use data and evidence to support your cause, illustrating the need for systemic reform. However, it's important to acknowledge that systemic change often takes time, and setbacks are common. Being able to adapt and persevere in the face of challenges is vital in this case. Surround the problem with the right people. Give them early notice of that problem. Dan Heath. Key point 5. Don't wait for the red light. Now that you have a perfect team to start a venture, it's time to learn some cheat codes. Hard work is respectable, but if you can find the sweet spot on a seesaw to lift a heavy weight, why not save the effort for unavoidable labor? That's where finding a point of leverage comes into play. Take personal finance as an example. Here, a leverage point might be tackling high-interest debt head-on. By focusing on reducing this financial burden, you free up more money to save and invest, setting off a chain reaction to improve your economic well-being. It's like starting a snowball rolling downhill, gathering momentum as it goes. To find your point of leverage, you must assess the system carefully. Look for areas where your actions can create a ripple effect. And it's not just about following your hunches. It's about data and evidence too. Using concrete information to support your chosen leverage point helps justify your efforts and persuade others to join your cause. Changing the system often requires ongoing advocacy and adaptability. Much like a seesaw may need multiple pushes to lift a heavy object, finding a point of leverage may involve continued effort and determination. Now let's shift gears to establishing early warning systems. Think of it like the dashboard warning light in your car that alerts you to a potential issue with the engine. These early warnings allow you to address problems before they escalate. In life, they manifest differently. In personal health, regular checkups and screenings serve as early warning systems. In the workplace, open communication channels between employees and management can serve as early warning systems in case of conflicts or productivity issues. In personal finance, monitoring your financial statements and setting up alerts for unusual transactions can help you spot potential issues early on. Stay alert and actively seek feedback to notice early warnings. Collaboration and information sharing also play a role in early problem detection. Working with others allows you to tap into their insights and experiences, enhancing your ability to anticipate and respond to challenges. Key point 6. Behind every mountain is another mountain. As we learn to solve problems before they happen, one crucial aspect is measuring success and recognizing the signs of progress and achievement. Whether striving for personal fitness or managing a business, understanding these indicators is essential. For instance, take the goal of getting into better shape. At first glance, it might seem like a straightforward objective, but as anyone who has ever embarked on this journey knows, it's anything but simple. You start hitting the gym and changing your diet, and slowly, you notice your endurance levels creeping up. You can run longer distances and lift heavier weights, and your clothes fit differently as your body changes. These tangible changes are the mountains you climbed in your personal fitness journey. In the world of business, the mountains are different, but no less daunting. Success isn't just about having a good month or quarter. It's seen in the gradual but steady improvement of important metrics. Your company's revenue might start to climb, customer feedback becomes increasingly positive, and your employees stay with the company longer because they're happy and motivated. These key performance indicators are like trail markers on a hike, showing that you're heading in the right direction. However, it's important to remember that the path to success is rarely a straight upward trajectory. Setbacks happen. Imagine you're at the helm of a company facing financial strain. You might have to consider measures like cost cutting, which could lead to the difficult decision of laying off staff. Here, successfully navigating this challenge doesn't just mean balancing the books. It means doing so with minimal negative impact on the lives of your employees. It's about finding the path that could lead to a less painful ascent for everyone involved. When you're left with nothing, you can always start over again. In personal relationships, avoiding disruptions means refraining from actions that could hurt others emotionally or physically. Instead, we can foster open communication, empathy, and mutual respect as means of prevention. Measuring success and avoiding damage are two fundamental principles for proactive problem solving. They help us navigate the complexities of decision-making while ensuring the well-being of ourselves, others, and the world around us. Did you know? According to the Reputation X analysis, around 49% of customers need at least 7 positive reviews before using the business's services. Americans are also more likely to share negative experiences than positive ones, which means a bad reputation spreads faster. Conclusion: preventing a problem seems like much less work than dealing with the chaos of consequences. But where do we start? It sounds like a problem in itself. Luckily, the idea of upstream thinking typifies healthy management. If we practice a shift from reactive, downstream solutions, we'll eventually catch the proactive attitude. We've identified common barriers that hinder our ability to prevent problems effectively, such as problem blindness, a lack of ownership, and tunnel vision. Now, we can recognize these obstacles and take a first step toward overcoming them. To effectively implement the upstream strategy, we must be ready to answer uncomfortable questions about our responsibility, empathy, and resilience. Being honest with ourselves encourages us to address problems before they arise. And the more proactive we become, the easier it is to embrace innovation and long-term solutions. Thinking and acting ahead of time means we've reached the top of the curve and learned to ride the wave. Speaking less metaphorically, if we train ourselves to notice the issue before it grows, we can outsmart our competitors and take a more effective route to success. In sum, incorporating upstream thinking into our professional and personal toolkits promises healthier and more effective growth in whatever sphere we need. So, why don't we try living like we're one step ahead of the trouble? Try this. Identify a recurring problem in your life or work and dig deep to uncover its root cause, rather than merely addressing the symptoms. Study real-life cases where upstream thinking made a difference. Analyze both successes and failures to gain insights into effective prevention strategies. Challenge yourself to think beyond the immediate future. Start with small habits and grow your resilience. You can't lead the team upstream if your thinking and discipline are disorganized.